Welcome back, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for another explainer. So, today we're looking at a super fascinating snapshot of where technology actually stands right now, drawing straight from the July 2026 Global Artificial Intelligence Dispatch. Let's be real, we are officially way past the era where AI was just this, neat little software novelty, like a fun chatbot you play with on your phone. Today, it's a massive, incredibly complex force. This tech is literally the primary catalyst driving fierce corporate warfare, it's leaving a very real impact on our global climate, and it's completely redrawing the map of international geopolitics. There is a whole lot to unpack here, and I've structured everything to make these massive shifts really easy to digest. Okay, let's dive into this ripple effect roadmap. First, we're going to look at the Silicon Valley showdown. Then we'll get into redrawing AI guardrails, followed by the climate cost. And finally, we'll wrap up with the global AI scramble. Starting right off with Section 1, the Silicon Valley showdown, focusing on a massive clash brewing between Apple and OpenAI. 400. That is a huge number. According to recent filings, Apple is officially alleging that OpenAI engaged in a, quote, coordinated campaign to poach over 400 of their former employees. And we're not just talking about entry-level hires here. The lawsuit specifically points out that this group includes top-level engineers and key executives. Now, you might be thinking, in the hyper-competitive world of tech talent, a migration like this is just business as usual, right? Well, it's actually the alleged motivation behind this massive poaching spree that has sparked this blockbuster lawsuit. So, the crucial point here is that Apple claims this wasn't just about hiring smart people. No, their suit claims OpenAI actively instructed candidates to bring confidential hardware files and get this, even physical device prototypes with them during their job interviews. Apple alleges this was a straight-up illegal extraction of proprietary trade secrets. And the alleged goal behind all this? To exploit those very trade secrets to jumpstart and accelerate the development of OpenAI's own hardware business. It's a really fascinating, honestly kind of wild, look at the lengths companies are allegedly going to just to secure a physical foothold in the AI race. Let's move to our next section and see how this builds into redrawing AI guardrails, specifically looking at safety and transparency. We can clearly see a major internal shift happening over at OpenAI right now. They're undergoing a massive structural realignment in how they handle research and safety. Let's walk through the steps of this shakeup. First, Johannes Heideck, the company's head of safety, announced his departure. Right after his exit, OpenAI initiated Step 2, which was moving to completely integrate its once independent research and safety teams into one single unified group. And finally, in Step 3, Mia Gleis was appointed as the new Vice President of Research and Safety to oversee this entire newly consolidated division. This is a pretty significant pivot in how one of the world's leading AI companies actually structures the internal teams responsible for keeping their tech safe. Meanwhile, over at Google, we are seeing guardrails being bolted directly onto consumer content. Let's take a look at their new transparency mandate. Previously, Google's policy was pretty narrow. It required clear disclosures only when generative AI was used in political campaign ads. Well, now they are vastly expanding that. Under the new policy, it automatically appends clear transparency disclosures to absolutely all advertisements created using their generative AI tools. So why does this matter to you? Because the next time you're just casually scrolling the web, the consumer ads targeting you are actually going to have a clear digital paper trail. Google's primary goal here is to curb the rapid growth of AI-generated consumer misinformation, making sure that we, the users, know exactly when an ad has been synthesized by a machine. Which brings us to Section 3, the climate cost. We really need to talk about the physical toll of AI. You know, we so often think of AI as existing in this invisible, floaty cloud, but the reality? It takes a very heavy, very physical toll. And the data brilliantly illustrates this point. Looking at Microsoft's newly released sustainability report, we can see a massive 25% year-over-year surge in carbon emissions. That is huge. So what exactly drove this massive spike? Well, Microsoft explicitly notes that it's directly due to their aggressive build-out of artificial intelligence infrastructure and data centers all across the United States. The takeaway here is absolutely profound. This surge is now significantly threatening Microsoft's own long-term corporate climate goals. It serves as a vital, if kind of sobering, reminder for all of us. Those magical AI tools we rely on every single day to write emails, generate code, or create funny images, they are leaving a very real, rapidly expanding footprint on our physical environment. All that computation requires immense amounts of electricity and water for cooling, which literally makes the AI boom a direct and immediate climate challenge. Now, let's zoom out for our fourth and final section, the global AI scramble and its worldwide expansion. We are seeing some major geopolitical shifts happening right now, especially in the Middle East. For starters, the U.S. Department of Commerce has officially loosened its historically stringent export controls on specialized AI silicon. This means major tech firms like Apple, Meta, and xAI can now actually ship high-performance processors directly to the UAE without needing individual transfer licenses. This is a huge win that largely benefits the state-backed enterprise G42, and it paves the way for a massive localized compute expansion. Meanwhile, over in Egypt, the Ministry of Military Production has partnered up with Intel executives. Their goal? They want to map out strategic digital modernizations, expand server footprints, and specifically integrate advanced AI models directly into domestic manufacturing lines. But when we consider the Asia-Pacific region, we see a very, very different story unfolding. Now, what's really interesting about this is the massive contrast. Despite all the intense hype surrounding AI globally, a joint study by the United Nations and the Asian Development Bank reveals a pretty stark reality. AI integration into regional customs and logistics in the Asia-Pacific region, it's currently sitting at less than 15%. The vast majority, so over 85%, are still relying entirely on traditional legacy systems. So what is causing this massive disconnect between immense regional interest and such stubbornly low adoption rates? Well, the UN and ADB report identifies 3 severe, real-world bottlenecks that are completely stalling progress in the Asia-Pacific region. First off, the infrastructure costs are simply way too high for many entities to bear right now. Second, their existing data systems are too fragmented to effectively train and utilize these advanced AI models. And third, there is a severe shortage of the actual technical skills required to implement and maintain these systems. It just goes to show that wanting AI and actually being able to plug it into a complex global supply chain are two very, very different things. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today, and I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought. We've seen how the AI boom is sparking 400-person poaching lawsuits in Silicon Valley. We've watched tech giants scrambling to restructure their safety teams and label ads just to fight off misinformation. We've seen a staggering 25% surge in carbon emissions that is literally threatening long-term climate goals. And we've seen international export laws rapidly shifting to accommodate this massive global scramble for compute power. So, as this AI arms race completely redraws corporate alliances, global trade, and our actual climate, are we building the future faster than we can regulate it? It is a fascinating question and one we will undoubtedly keep exploring. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.